You followed the formula, you followed the steps, and yet the color still didn't turn out the way you expected. This episode is about why and how to fix it. Oh my god, you guys, I am so excited to finally do one of these. I am so happy this came so highly requested, and I'm a technical galley, so I love this. Welcome back. I'm Orla, full-time hairstylist, salon owner, and educator, and I am so excited to be here. Troubleshooting is one of the most important skills as a colorist that we can develop because no formula exists in isolation. Every color result is affected by underlying pigment, color theory, application, and interpretation. In this episode, we're breaking down the most common reasons color results miss the mark and how to diagnose the issue instead of guessing your way through the fix. Now, I'm very aware that regarding this episode, there might be a million things why something goes wrong. As someone who has been training apprentices for literally over a decade now, same with adult learning hairstylists that are actually fully qualified, might be 10, 15, 20 years into their career. These are the most common mishaps or mistakes or problems that people have found in the sense of stylists behind the chair. Now, for this episode, we're going to be jumping into a few little topics. Hopefully, in the future, here with this troubleshooting series, we can dive a little deeper into each topic and really get to the nitty gritty stuff. On that note, if you could please subscribe to the channel so you can be notified when those videos do go up. So let's dive in. When color doesn't lift enough, the issue is never the toner. Toner does not actually lift hair. Most often, it's one of these three things. The starting level wasn't light enough, the underlying pigment wasn't fully exposed, or the hair simply didn't have enough time or strength to lift. You cannot neutralize what you haven't lifted past. Every level of hair has an underlying pigment that becomes visible as you lift. For example, dark hair might expose red, medium exposes orange, light brown typically exposes orange, yellow, depending on the exact level, and then blonde exposes yellow. If you stop lifting before you reach the correct stage that you're aiming for, toner won't behave properly, cool tones won't hold properly, warmth will push back through, color may look muddy, brassy, or dull. Toner can neutralize, but it cannot replace missing lift. Now, an example. If your goal is a cool level 8 blonde and her hair only lifted to a level 7 orange yellow, the underlying pigment needed for a level 8 yellow was never fully exposed. Any ash or cool toner will struggle. Warmth will resurface very quickly. The result may look flat or overlay warm despite correct formulation. So the issue isn't the toner, it's the incomplete exposure of underlining pigment. And that's why it is so critical that we're lifting to the correct level. But Orla, how do I fix this if this actually occurs behind the chair? In my opinion, you have two options. Option A is adjust the plan, not the hair. So you accept the level achieved, plan to neutralize the warmth instead of pushing it, and educate the guest on the new approach with the expectation of what is achievable today. Option B is you're going to either rinse, tone for balance, protect integrity, and then rebook a refinement appointment. It's important to keep in mind as well that sometimes the hair just will not lift past a certain point in one appointment. Every head is different, every hair strand is unique, so just keeping that in mind when setting expectations. Turn to warm. Warmth showing through doesn't mean the color failed. It means the underlying pigment is still present. So warmth appears in color when the level is incomplete, the neutralizing pigment was insufficient, or the color faded back to natural warmth. So in regards to the level is incomplete, whether it is lightener or color, when the hair has not lifted far enough to expose the correct underlying pigment for the desired end result, you will either have to relift or adjust, kind of like the one prior to this we just did. There is no shortcut to this, so you will either have to adjust your toner probably darker, or you will have to book them in for a refinement process. Keep in mind, color does not live color particularly predictable, but you could relighten. That's just up to you and the integrity of the hair on the appointment day. So what does the neutralizing pigment mean when it was insufficient? The level may be correct, but the toner or formula did not contain enough opposing pigment to neutralize the remaining warmth. So this can happen when the wrong base is chosen, there's not enough blue, violet, or green present, and the formula is too sheer for the amount of warmth. So what this could look like is hair still light enough but reads warm. Warmth shows through after processing. Toner looks slightly beige but brassy. So what you can do in this is identify the dominant warmth. So yellow needs violet, yellow orange needs violet and blue, and orange needs blue. So strengthen the formula, increase the concentration of the neutralizing pigment, reduce clear, so have natural dilution, adjust processing time if appropriate. Balance is key, neutralization, not flattening. The color has faded back to its warmth. So what does that mean? All hair naturally fades warm over time, especially blondes. This is not a mistake, it is chemistry. In blonde hair, cool colors do not occur naturally, and this is really important to remember. Cool pigments are larger and fade faster, leaving underlining warmth exposed. Always. So hair was perfect at first. Warmth appears after a few washes. Tone feels lost rather than incorrect. So it's important to educate the guest, explain that warmth returning is normal, reinforce maintenance expectations, and offer maintenance solutions. So this might include a gloss or toner refresh in between, purple or blue home care at home, and shorter tone intervals. To also help with the length and the longevity of toners, we need to be making sure that we're leaving them on for the appropriate time. So this is a big one for hairstylists. A lot of the time we do like to flash tone. Learn to clear out so you can get a bit of the longevity out of it. You need to know the rules before you can break the rules. Muddiness happens when too many opposing pigments are layered without clarity. This often occurs when too many tones are mixed together, complementary colors are overused, or neutral is added excessively. Brown and gray are not single pigments, they are balanced mixtures. When balance is lost, clarity disappears. Muddy color is not a depth problem, it's a balance problem. So I do have the Color Wheel foundations in the Color Principle series. I would recommend going and watching that because it actually touches bases on how to make gray, black, and brown. And I feel like that is critical for color theory and why a lot of your problems may be happening with a color looking muddy or flat. Okay, so it's the end of the appointment. We then have a realization my guest's hair looks darker than we planned. What do we do? So we want to diagnose before fixing. So ask yourself, does the hair feel dry or overly absorbent? So is it porous? Does the tone look flat, smoky, or shadowy rather than warm? Is the depth technically correct but visually heavy? If yes, this is a cool, porous issue, not a lifting issue. Okay, this is important. So, how do we fix this? Option A would be like a gloss correction. If the hair is healthy enough, in this case, a gloss should be okay to use. You want to use a sheer, warmer reflect gloss. So, think beige, gold, or a soft neutral. Lower pigment density than the original formula. So something with like a GI, maybe a G, depending how far off the mark we are here. Something that's just going to add that gold back in but still give a sheer release visually, so it's not going to affect the weight of the color essentially too much. Option B would be the dilution strategy, which is like cut your formula with clear, or up it a level. So like if you were doing a level 7 tone at a level 8, or a warmer tone at the same level. This keeps depth but removes the heaviness of it. Option C would be a porosity neutralization equalization. So this would be pre-treat mid-lengths and ends, use a porosity filler or conditioning base, reduce processing time. So this is where like if you have those little ends at the bottom of the hair that look like, you could literally rinse the toner at the top on zone 1 and it would catch on the ends. Just being aware of that is very important. So porous hair doesn't need more time, it needs less pigment because it just sucks it up and grabs it. Okay, the other scenario that could happen in this situation is that the level is right, but it still feels dull or muddy. So this is like a classic cool pigment overload. And so how to fix this, which was kind of similar to point 1, is you want to add reflect, not depth. Use warmth strategically, not to make it warm, but to make it visible. So think, I'm not warming this up, I'm letting light back in. Color looks darker than expected often when the hair is porous, the hair formula is overly cool, or the tone is just too dense for the level. So cool pigments visually absorb light, porous hair grabs color faster, and together they can create a heavier visual result. That is why formulation must consider visual weight as well often, not just level. Now, in the previous slide, we also discussed a little bit more in depth on each of these little points, so I'm not going to touch base again. So, did you identify the underlining pigment correctly? Is it yellow, yellow, orange, orange, red, whatever it is? Is it lighter than I thought and actually needs less correction? Or is it darker and holding more warmth? If it's still yellow, violet, blue violet is appropriate. If it's orange, you need blue, and so forth. Please reference the color wheel video for more information on that. If your underlining pigment was misidentified, the fix is not time, it's changing the tone family. So reformulate with the correct opposing pigment, not the same formula again. Second question, was the neutralizing color strong enough? So if it's still warm, you did not add enough opposing pigment, or the level of the toner was too light to hold correction. So the in-chair fix would add more of the correcting tone, not more time, or drop the formula half a shade to one level deeper, or use a more concentrated neutral ash blue with the same level. So for example, if you have a level 9 but still warm, your violet was not strong enough, add more violet or shift to a blue violet, or drop to a level 8 if you need the control. Third question, was application even and controlled? Are warmer pieces finer or more porous? Did you rush the application? Did some areas oxidize faster than others? So in the chair, the fix for this would be spot tone warmer areas separately, use a porosity equalizer like before, or apply toner starting where warmth is the strongest. So neutralization is a ratio, not a guess. It is very difficult to guess the exact amount of pigment that exists. I understand that, but you are balancing underlining pigment strength, amount of opposing pigment, and level of depth. If the ratio is off, too little correction means warmth remains, too much correction equals flat, dull, or dark result. So adjust the pigment amount first, adjust the depth second, adjust time last. Time does not replace missing pigment. Before adjusting the formula, diagnose the problem. Ask yourself, is this a level issue or a tone issue? Is the warmth natural or artificial? Did the color fail or did the canvas fail? Troubleshooting is not about reacting. It's about reading the hair. The strongest colorists don't panic, they analyze. Every unexpected result tells you something about the hair, about the formulation, or about the process. Once you understand why something happened, fixing it becomes very simple. Troubleshooting isn't about perfection, it's about understanding. When you stop guessing and start diagnosing, your confidence grows, your results improve, and your work becomes predictable. Thank you for joining me, and if you've stayed this long, pat on the back to you too. Show up more curious, leave more capable, and we'll see you in the next one. Subscribe for more.